In the vast uncharted void of interstellar space, far beyond Pluto's orbit, a dying spacecraft has whispered what could be its final message. Voyager 1, the most distant human-made object ever created, has traveled over 24 billion kilometers from Earth, far beyond the planets, moons, and even the grasp of our Sun. Now, just as we thought its long voyage would fade into silence, it has sent a signal so strange, so cryptic, that it has shocked engineers, scientists, and astronomers across the world. The transmission no longer consists of structured data. It is a chaotic stream of binary code, zeros and ones repeating in an endless loop, as though the spacecraft is trying to communicate something we cannot comprehend. Is it a glitch, a death rattle, or perhaps a final revelation? One thing is certain: this is not how Voyager 1 was meant to say goodbye. Launched in 1977, Voyager 1 was never designed to last. It was supposed to survive just 5 years, its mission simple: fly by Jupiter and Saturn, gather data, and then drift silently into space, forgotten by time. But what happened instead was nothing short of extraordinary. Not only did it complete its mission, it kept going, past the outer planets, into the unknown reaches of interstellar space. Engineers of the 1970s never expected it to survive that long, let alone journey beyond the solar system. The probe was built with painstaking care, using the best technology of the time, all on a budget of $250 million. And as a backup, there was Voyager 2, just in case something went wrong. But Voyager 1 didn't fail. It thrived. Powered by a radioisotope thermoelectric generator using plutonium-238, it continued to send data for nearly half a century, its computer running on just 69 kilobytes of memory, transmitting images, atmospheric readings, and cosmic measurements from the farthest reaches of the solar system. But now, after all this time, that magnificent machine is starting to falter. And not quietly. At the end of 2023, engineers began noticing something unsettling in Voyager 1's telemetry. It was still transmitting, but the data made no sense. The spacecraft's flight data subsystem, which is responsible for collecting and formatting scientific information, had begun to send out sequences of binary code that were repetitive, meaningless, and seemingly corrupted. Engineers tried everything to reset the system, sending command after command, each one taking 22.5 hours to reach the spacecraft and another 22.5 hours to receive a response. Yet nothing worked. The usual software patches failed. A hard reboot did nothing. Some engineers began to suspect a catastrophic failure in the telemetry modulation unit, the crucial link between Voyager's computers and its transmitter. Without that connection, the spacecraft could no longer send back any scientific data, only a continuous stream of digital noise. But when scientists ran this noise through advanced processing software, something strange emerged. Patterns. Repeating numbers that shouldn't be present in random data, prime sequences, constants, numbers that seem to defy chance. Could this be a final attempt by the spacecraft to organize its thoughts? Or had it encountered something beyond our understanding, something that changed its very nature? Voyager 1 crossed into interstellar space in 2012, passing through the heliopause, the invisible boundary where our sun's solar wind no longer dominates the cosmos. Beyond this barrier, Voyager entered an unknown territory, the Wall of Fire, a region where temperatures can soar above 50,000 degrees Celsius, although the spacecraft itself would not be harmed due to the low particle density. But this extreme environment marked a pivotal moment. Voyager became the first human-made object to enter the space between the stars, measuring cosmic radiation, clouds of hydrogen and helium, and gravitational waves. And it continued to measure and send back data, until now, when that data has ceased to make sense. Some speculate that Voyager may have passed through a region of space that altered its systems, perhaps even causing a form of cognitive breakdown in its limited programming. Others entertain more dramatic theories, that it encountered something unknown to our solar system, a force, a field, or a structure that interfered with its systems and sent it spiraling into digital chaos. Long before this breakdown, Voyager 1 made one final poetic gesture. In 1990, at the request of Carl Sagan, it turned its camera back toward Earth and captured the iconic pale blue, a tiny speck of light suspended in a shaft of sunlight from over 6 billion kilometers away. After that image was taken, Voyager's cameras were turned off to conserve power, and the probe continued its journey in blindness, relying solely on its sensors. And even without sight, it has taught us more than any other spacecraft in history. Now, as this mission nears its end, Voyager is not going quietly. It is sending us a final message, but it is wrapped in incomprehensible code. And perhaps that's fitting. Voyager has always been more than just a machine. It has been a mirror, reflecting our technology, our dreams, our flaws, and our hopes. This final transmission, as unintelligible as it may seem, might be its last gift to us. A message that says, "I went farther than you ever imagined. I endured longer than anyone ever expected. And in the end, I still reached out, one last time." As the days pass and the stream of chaotic binary continues, researchers are divided. Some insist this is nothing more than the inevitable decay of the spacecraft systems, its final, incoherent moments of life. But others are not so sure. Several universities and private labs have begun using AI-driven pattern recognition software to analyze the data, and the results are unsettling: recurring sequences, structured intervals, and strange patterns that don't belong to randomness. What does it all mean? Is this the final breath of a dying machine, or is it something far more mysterious? Only time will tell. Mathematical ratios that echoed musical harmony, geometric principles, and patterns, things Voyager was never programmed to compute, let alone transmit. What truly stunned researchers was that portions of the binary code began to resemble the structure of a language, as though they followed a kind of syntax, but without words. Scientists from MIT and the European Space Agency admitted that while the signal didn't match any known Earth language, it displayed behaviors associated with intentional communication. This wasn't the collapse of a system, it was beginning to resemble a message, one that wasn't meant for us, or at least not in a form we could easily understand. Every conversation about Voyager ultimately circles back to its most iconic artifact, the Golden Record. This gold-plated copper disc, containing sounds, music, and greetings from Earth, was never just a gesture. It was a message in a bottle, designed to introduce humanity to any extraterrestrial intelligence that might one day encounter it. Along with the sounds and images, it included pulsar maps and scientific diagrams, offering a glimpse into our world. But now, as Voyager 1 transmits this inexplicable data burst, a new theory is emerging. What if the message wasn't just sent out, but is now being reflected back? The recent binary sequences show uncanny similarities to the waveform patterns on the Golden Record, suggesting that perhaps some force or intelligence received our message, and has chosen to reply through the very probe we sent. Some theorists go even further, proposing that the signal's distortion could be deliberate, a kind of cipher, testing whether we can recognize our own reflection in alien code. This might not be a message meant to teach us, but to measure us, to assess our response. As news of Voyager's final transmission spread beyond the scientific community, it ignited a global reaction, one that was not merely curious, but deeply primal. Spiritual leaders, philosophers, and thinkers began weighing in, with some declaring it a moment of divine connection, a cosmic sign that humanity's voice had finally been heard across the vastness of space. Others feared it was a warning, a distant echo from something too powerful, too incomprehensible for us to understand or control. In online communities, the signal became a focal point for thousands of theories, decoding attempts, and speculative recreations. Music producers layered the binary into ambient tracks, while artists painted their interpretations of what the unknown might look like. Governments remained silent, offering no official statements, but satellite listening stations across the world suddenly tuned in with renewed urgency. Whether it was a glitch or a signal, Voyager had rekindled the oldest human instinct, the need to find meaning in the unknown. And in that search, humanity found itself not just reaching for the stars, but finding a connection with each other once more. As Voyager 1's power reserves continue to dwindle, NASA estimates that by the end of 2025, the spacecraft will fall silent. No more signals, no more data, just a lifeless object drifting through interstellar space. But now, with this final transmission resonating across time, the legacy of Voyager has shifted. It is no longer just a probe, it has become a witness, a relic of humanity's first breath beyond its cradle, a machine that was never meant to last and yet refused to die quietly. Perhaps Voyager is more than just a messenger. Perhaps, in its final moments, it has done more than speak. Perhaps it has listened. And in its last act, it passed on something we were never meant to find on our own. As scientists race to decode the final fragments, a chilling thought persists. What if Voyager wasn't the beginning of a message, but the end of one? A punctuation at the edge of our understanding, before a new story begins. Voyager 1 was never meant to last. It was never meant to cross the boundary of the sun's influence, never meant to outlive its creators, and certainly never meant to send back a message that would challenge the very foundations of our knowledge. But maybe that's the point. Maybe this isn't just the end of a mission. Maybe it's the beginning of a conversation we didn't even know we were having. A dying machine, with less memory than a modern calculator, sent us a final message, not with clarity, but with mystery. It didn't speak in words. It didn't paint a picture. Instead, it offered us a reflection of our own curiosity, our own code, our own desire to be seen across the void. And whether that message came from Voyager itself, or from something that found it out there, the result is the same. We are no longer the civilization we were when Voyager launched. We are smarter, louder, faster. But are we wiser? Are we ready for what comes next? Because as Voyager's light fades, the silence it leaves behind will echo for generations. A silence not filled with nothing, but with possibility. Now, it's your turn. What do you think Voyager 1's final message truly means? Do you believe it was simply the last breath of a machine, or the first breath of something greater? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if this story moved you, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone who still believes that the stars aren't silent, they're just waiting for us to learn how to listen. Because maybe, just maybe, Voyager didn't say goodbye after all.